Hello and welcome to Gaia tutorial number 2, and today we're going to talk about the translation grid. Here's the overview, and you can see here the progress for all languages combined. In this case there are 2 languages, Brazilian Portuguese and Japanese in this project, and you can see here the project completion is 17%, it's 82 segments, 41 pending, 41 new, etc, etc. And when you go down here, you can see the progress for the specific language, and you can see that there are new, 0 in progress, and 41 were translated. Basically, we have 100% of the translation work done. So the overview allows you to see very quickly the progress of the project and also how each language is progressing. Then you have the filters. You can use this to quickly search for specific strings or segments. So let's say you can start by looking for all segments that contain the term cyberpunk. And then you can see when you add the segment here, the search term, it also appears here. And you can see that there are 5 matching segments with cyberpunk. You can also search by status. And in this case, let's remove cyberpunk and search for everything that has been reviewed. Of course, it's going to be 0 in this case, no matching segments. Translated is going to be all 41 segments. Then you can search for the target language. Even if you did not choose that specific target language in the product card, you can change it here and make the full scope of the project if you want. So you can say all targets that are new. It's going to be 41 because it's 41 for Japanese only. You can also search for focus. Focus means specifically what type of strings you're looking for. If they have QA issues, if they have unresolved comments, resolved comments, empty targets, or if they have translations. Finally, you can also save these views. So let's say I want all that are translated in Brazilian Portuguese and that have QA issues, and I'm gonna name this as PTBR translated QA issues, and then I save this search. So here you can see how it's going to be displayed, the saved view, and then in that case I have 30 matching segments. So if I change all of this, let's say I want to clear filters, it's going to show 82 segments, but when I click on apply, then the saved view is going to be applied as well. You can also search by favorite or bookmarked segments. To bookmark a segment, go to the top row here of the segment and click on this star. So when you click on it, it becomes bookmarked. So let's do this for the 3 first strings. So segment number 1, segment number 3, segment number 5 in Brazilian Portuguese. And then when you click on watch list, you click on bookmarked only. Only these 3 segments are going to be there. Of course, if you remove them, they're not going to be on this bookmarked list anymore. The batch function is useful to select multiple segments at the same time. So let's say you want to change the status of these segments to something else, provided you have the credentials, of course, and the permissions. So I'm going to select visible, and instead of translated, I'm going to say that all of them have been reviewed. Now it's ready. and all strings are now reviewed. You can see the workflow status here is set to reviewed. You can also lock or unlock them. When you click on lock, they are not possible to be edited. Nobody else can edit the strings unless you give them permission to do so or you unlock them. In my case, I am the owner, so I can do this, but nobody else would be able to do it. You can also lock and unlock strings clicking here. So let's now unlock them. Find and replace is very useful to change terms in specific segments very quickly. So let's say I want to change Cyberpunk 2077 and replace it with a new term. So Cyberpunk 2077, and I want to replace it, just as an example, with Zelda. So I have 41 segments in total. Let's see how many of these have the term Cyberpunk 2077, so they can replace with Zelda. So you can see here the results. 4 segments, 4 were editable. There were 4 matches read-only were skipped. So you can see here that it changed the segments to have Zelda instead of Cyberpunk. And of course, you can quickly go back and replace again. You can also set this to case sensitive, and you can also use regular expressions. The grammar feature is very useful to look for typos and any kind of linguistic issues that are not caught by regular QA. Let's do a test right now for grammar and see if we can find a typo. So I'm going to try add a typo here. I'm going to add an extra L. And I'm going to run the grammar check. So here you can see that it found it. Possible misspelling in target text. Problem text is capítulo with 2 L's. And let's now try and fix it and see if the grammar check doesn't get this as an issue. There you go. This is not an issue anymore because we fixed. There's only one that is not specifically related to the grammar finding. The next button is segment context, and this is useful to understand the order, the sequence of the segments, especially when you are translating dialogues. So you can see right here, this is the first segment, and then the next one. And if you click on next, you're gonna see all of them in sequence. You have the QA findings. So on this section here, you can see all the QA issues that were found in this text. And everything is done in real time. So even though we have not started Japanese yet, it already shows the QA issues. Another important aspect of the QA is that you can reject them. It's really not a QA issue. For instance, in this case here, it's saying that the format of the number is not matching what is supposed to be in Brazilian Portuguese. So this is correct because in Brazilian Portuguese there is a 1,000 separator as a dot, and this is not the case in English. However, this is not a valid QA issue because in this case we're talking about the title of a game, Cyberpunk 2077. So I'm gonna reject this as false positive, and I'm gonna say that this is the title of the game and should not be translated. And then you reject finding. When you do this, it's actually gonna clear all the issues for the segment, and you can just continue working. Finally, the comments. You can add any comment here. Please do not translate the title. Okay, I will do it. So when you click on comments, you can see right away all comments and which one are not resolved, so you can act on them really quickly. So in this case here, we have 2 resolved and 2 open. And I'm just gonna say that these are resolved right now. You can just click on Mark Blocked, wait for the resolution, and when it's done, you can unblock comment or you can just resolve the comment. So when you do this, it's gonna be 0 comments here. Finally, you have the workflow. And the workflow, it really sets different grid layouts to better match your workflow. In this case, we are using the full row view mode, which shows everything of the segment here. But if you do not need to see everything, you can simply set this to production. The production view is going to show only source, target, segment keys, and that's it. So it's really a quick way to finish production as fast as you can. Finally, you have the matrix grid. So the matrix grid allows to see all target languages side by side, just like you were using a spreadsheet. You can just resize the columns here, and you can see different target languages here. You can see Brazilian Portuguese and Japanese here. This is very useful when you are working with a team and they want to check the translations from other languages to see if it's matching them or if they have an inspiration. It's really useful. And of course, you have also the functionalities that you have in the full row view, but they are different here. So here, you can see that you can open the TM and glossary. It's going to be an overlay. It's not going to be one below the other, but it still works. So you can see all the translation memory matches. You can select all translation memories. And of course, you have the glossaries. You have the dictionary if you need to. The QA findings, the comments, and the segment context as well. Another very useful feature in Gaia is the character length policy. There are 3 different types. The first one is strict. So when the character length is set to strict, you cannot confirm the segment if it's over the limit. In that case, the limit is 26 because this is actually the number of characters in the source content. So if you did not set any limit when you were importing the file. It is going to take the limit as the source. So in this case, it's 26. So I'm going to be over 26. And there you go. You cannot, the buttons are disabled, so you cannot confirm them. So this is how strict works. If you put them on soft, it is going to be red because you are over the limit. You can confirm them, but there will be a QA blocker here. And blocker is one of the highest levels of severity. You are not able to export the project if it's a blocker. You need to fix them. So there you go. You can confirm them, but you cannot export the project. And finally, when the length is off, it's still going to be red as a visual warning, but you can confirm everything is not a blocker and it's fine as it is. Finally, you can also configure the grid as you like. You can just say, okay, I want matrix, just this matrix view, and save it. So whenever you apply, it's going to be exactly as you want. And every time you open this project, it's going to be using the same type of grid. So let's go now to all the features that we have in the full row view for each segment. So starting here in the source text, there is actually an integrated dictionary, and this was in version 2.0. So if you hover over the term, it's going to have the pop-up with the English dictionary. And you can use this as a reference. If you click here, you can actually change the source text if you have the permissions. I'm going to say that this is Cyberpunk 2078. But when you do that, there is going to be a significant change in the project itself, because it's going to add QA warnings. It's going to change the project card, because when you're changing the source, this actually can mean that there's going to be extra work for the translators because it was changed. So this is why you see here the source edits 5 words were changed, because this is the total number of words. When you're translating, you need to see all of them, because sometimes it changes the entire sentence, for instance. So in this case, you can also see what was the previous source, what is the current source, so you can quickly understand what has changed. Here you can see the buttons. You can, in my case, I'm an owner, so I can confirm as translated, as reviewed, or as approved. But depending on your profile, you can only confirm either as translated, reviewed, or approved if you are the owner only. In this section here, you can see the translation memory. Because I already approved the previous translation, you can see here that this is 100% exact. And I'm gonna show, if you click on apply, it's gonna apply directly to the target content. This is the segment key. So there are 2 keys. The first one is actually how it imports from the file. And if the file has a column with the string ID, it's going to be there as well as base segment key. But the full row key, it adds the target language in the end. So basically you can see here that it's using the same key as this one here. but with target language in the end. This means that there is a unique key for each segment in each target language. Here you can see the glossary. We did not add any terms, but I'm going to add one right now. So I'm going to say that Cyberpunk 2077 in Portuguese is going to be the same thing. Yes. Also, I'm going to say that please do not translate the game title. And I'm going to add this to the glossary. So when adding the term to the glossary, you can see here that it is there. You have one term in pair, and this is the source, and this is the target. It's correct, it's in target. However, if you change it, you're gonna see that the term is not there anymore. So it's missing the term. And there's also gonna be a QA blocker in this case. Below the glossary, you have the dictionary, and most of the words in English are gonna be displayed here. So you can use this as a reference. The QA issues are gonna show up here. And if you click on details, they're gonna be even more. So here on the translation grid, you can see 2 of them, the first 2. But if you click on details, you're gonna see all of them. And of course, you can also go to the QA report section right here to see all the QA issues. There's also activity. So activity means when you are editing a specific segment, Gaia is going to count the time. And this is important for productivity. There are specific reports that measure how many words you are translating per minute, processing per minute, and this is because of this feature here of the activity. Another useful feature in the translation grid is that you know exactly where the translations are coming from. In this case, I used machine translation, I used Google Translate, and this is showing on the target where it came from. So if there are no edits to this specific string, I'm gonna see that these were generated by Google, and I can make a choice if I can keep them in the project or not. So this is it for the translation grid. I hope you liked this walkthrough. See you next time.